Okay, using a spring tool, we're going to go ahead and remove the 2 springs at the top of the wastegate inlet and the 1 spring behind the muffler. We're going to go ahead and use a 10mm deep well socket on a ratchet. We prefer not to use air tools or electric tools on these, as these bolts can gall up and become non-usable. We're going to go ahead and loosen our wastegate clamp up. Fully remove the nut. Remove the clamp. Pull the wastegate back and slide it off. Remove the donut and the clamping collar from the factory muffler. Using the same 10mm deep well socket on ratchet, we're going to loosen the V-band flange for the turbo. Fully remove the nut and remove the clamp from around the turbo. Cut the zip tie holding the EGT wires and unplug the EGT sensor. Using a 13mm wrench and a T40 Torx, loosen the top bolt to the crossmember bar. Lift the turbo up and pull the muffler out of chassis. It is helpful to have a second set of hands during this process. Once the muffler is out, reposition the bracket back up to its original position and reinstall the bolt and nut. If you have an electric start, please refer to the battery relocation instructions for your lightweight battery. Using a wrench, remove the EGT sensor. Remove the rubber bumper from the bottom of the muffler and reinstall onto the frame. Using a T20 Torx, remove the kick plate. Using a 3/16 drill bit, drill out the rivet that is behind the belt. Using a 3/16 drill bit, drill out the 2 rivets in the bottom of the kick plate. Cut out the paper template for the deep snow exhaust tunnel hole location. Using a 10mm, remove the factory nuts and washers on the bulkhead going alongside the quick drive belt. Heat may be required to remove these washers. Using a 17mm socket, remove the bolt holding the crossmember bar for the suspension. Using your template, trace out the hole for the deep snow exit. Using a 2 1/4 inch hole saw, drill out the hole. Using a grinder, grind out the rest of the material to your Sharpie line. Install the BoonDocker tunnel plate. Install the first 10mm nut on the top hole of the tunnel bracket without a washer. Using a supplied spring tab on the second bolt with a nut. And a supplied spring tab and nut for the bottom bolt. Using a 10mm, tighten down each of the bolts, ensuring that the spring tabs are in the upward position. Reinstall the 17mm bolt. The threads may have tension on them, so you will want to loosen your track first. Install this steel sleeve into the BoonDocker tunnel plate. Place the trimmed kick panel back into its original position. Restart your bolts. Now tighten your bolts back up.
91 to
Remove the rivets holding the factory outlet silicone and heat shield with a 3/16 drill bit. Take the supplied upper muffler bracket and slide it over the metal bushing that goes along the crossmember bar. Grab your new BoonDocker stainless steel muffler, install it, first sliding the lower bracket into place and then sliding the flange underneath the turbo, clipping the turbo into place. Using the factory V-band clamp, reclamp the turbo to the BoonDocker muffler. Ensure that the turbo is flat against the muffler so that the flanges seal. Reinstall the nut using a 10mm socket. Snug this, do not tighten. Using the supplied 10mm bolt, install the upper muffler bracket to the muffler. Shimmy the wastegate collector over the inlet tube on our muffler until it seats fully onto the donut on the wastegate. Reinstall the factory bypass collector clamp. Respring the bypass collector to the tune pipe. Using the long supplied spring, connect the long side to the spring tab. Hook that to the lower spring tab on the deep snow down tube. Pull this up into place. Install one of the short springs right there. Install one of the short springs up here. Install the last short spring right there. Reinstall the spring going from the crossmember bar to the back of the muffler. Now completely tighten both clamps going to the muffler. Install the EGT sensor into the BoonDocker muffler, ensuring that there is anti-seize. Route the wiring and zip tie. Final step, admire that beautiful BoonDocker muffler that you just installed on your awesome Polaris Boost.